Happy New Week. Welcome to the Hate. Welcome to the best advice I ever got. Today's day 8. So, what we have today is humility is the mark of a true winner. If I can remember on the 7, we had about humility and honesty. So, just be honest and be humble. Yes, so today we're talking about humility is the mark of a true winner. I received this advice in high school from Coach Seski, one of the winningest coaches in the history of Indiana track and field. It was the first meet of my sophomore year. I had done well with the previous season, but I knew I could accomplish more and trained rigorously to do so. When I finished in first place, I pumped my fist in the air and raised my finger to signal my first victory. I was shocked, however, to see a picture of this in the local paper the next morning, even though it hadn't been my intention. It looked as if it was signaling that I was the one. That day is when Coach Chesky offered his word of wisdom. He taught me that humility is the mark of a true winner. That season, I went on to win all but 4 meets. I set and broke the city record twice and was named to all the states team. My picture appeared in the paper 5 more times, but never again with my finger raised. Proverbs 16:19. But to be lonely in spirit and among the oppressed than to share plunder with the proud. Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 22:4. Humility and the fear of the Lord bring wealth and honor and life. Proverbs 29:23. A man's pride brings him low, and a man of low spirit gains honor. Jersin Callum, minister and author. Jason Callum is the executive minister at Christ Church in Jacksonville, Florida, a multi-campus ministry. He spent the 7 years of his ministry working with children and teens and has an intense passion for developing creative environments for their church experience. He has written articles on family and children ministry as well as on leadership and technology for several Christian and ministry related periodicals. He is also in the process of completing his first book, The Food Philosophy, a fable that demonstrates the importance of servant leadership in the marketplace, home, and church. His consulting website is located at www.ephesiansgroup.com. Growing up in Evansville, Indiana, Jason draws many life lessons from his adolescent adventures along the banks of the Holy River. Upon receiving a track scholarship, he attended Indiana University after completing his freshman year. However, his fire for ministry was ignited and he quickly transferred to Kentucky Christian University where he studied ministry and biblical studies. That's it about the best advice I ever got. 1. Humility is the mark of a true winner. The best advice I ever got too is when possible, don't be the bearer of bad news. When possible, don't be the bearer of bad news. My friend and mentor Florence Lettel gave me this wise counsel when I related to a story to her that began 16 years before. I had delivered bad news to a person who, upon receiving it, detested me for it. When she asked me specifically if I knew certain things, I told her the truth, thinking it would help clear up an unsettling situation. I thought I was being a friend. However, that woman was not prepared to hear the truth. All these years later, she still sees me through the lens of that hurtful information. I am very careful to remember that my calling is to share the good news, not the current affairs of others. Also, I have learned that I can't trust my feelings to determine my actions. I must instead rely on God's leading. I lost a friend, which is a dear price to pay to learn an important lesson, but I have never forgotten it. I hope it will serve as a heads up to others and prevent them from making the same mistake. Patsy Clement, author and women of faith speaker. Heaviness in the heart of man make it stop, but a good one make it glad. That's Proverbs 12:25. Colossians 4 says, let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt. Proverbs 10:11. The mouth of the righteous is the fountain of life. Ephesians 4:29. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as it's good for edification according to the need of moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. Ephesians 4:29. Petite, profound, and playful. These words help to describe Patsy Claremont's size, message, and humor. This light touch combined with scriptural knowledge makes Betsy an unusual package. Through her message, you find yourself laughing God's truth right into your heart. Betsy comes from an uncommon background. Her years of suffering as a prisoner in her own home, a victim of agoraphobia, have given her a deep appreciation of God's healing power. God has pulled together the emotionally fragmented pieces of our life and has combined an humor and knowledge of His Word to remind people that imperfect, cracked Christians are God's specialty. Whether she's speaking at a Women of Faith conference or writing one of her many best selling books, Patsy has a way of teaching truth through ridiculous stories that encourage and heal. The best advice I ever got: humility is the mark of a true winner. When possible, don't be the bearer of bad news. I know when some things happen, people are easy to spread the rumor. They're very fast to tell the other person, tell the other person, tell the other person. But most times, these people, you don't know that they are not prepared to hear the truth sometimes. They are not prepared. Their heart is not ready to receive it at the moment. And through that, you can lose yourself, you can destroy yourself, you can lose people, lose relationship, friendships, family members, destroy things that are supposed to carry you for long. And humility is the mark of a true winner. That's the mark of a true winner. When you are winning, it brings more responsibility that you are to be more humble. You have to be more humble, so that God will lift you higher. That's it. I hope you are learning. I hope you are learning. So I hope you are learning. This advice are to be used wisdoms. You should apply them to your life. Humility is the mark of a true winner. When possible, don't be the bearer of bad news. You are only to share good news always. Don't be the bearer of bad news. Don't be the first person to spread rumors. Don't be the first person to say something bad about someone. Be the bearer of good news. Don't be a bearer of bad news. Bye. See you in day 9. Thank you for joining me.